Breanna Micciolo, Breanna Micciolo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter.
Breanna, just before we start, I just want to remind you that you're going to have to keep your voice up, okay? The jury's going to have to hear you. So, Breanna, how old are you?
I'm 27.
And what is your birth date?
November 7th, 1996.
And where do you live?
East Brunswick.
And whom do you live with?
My boyfriend and daughter.
And do you work?
Yes.
And what is your occupation?
Data entry.
Who is Corey Micciolo?
My son.
And when did you give birth to Corey?
May 1st, 2014.
And how old were you when you gave birth to Corey?
17.
And what grade were you in when you gave birth to Corey?
11th grade.
And who is Corey's biological father?
The defendant.
Man, take this microphone and just slide it right in front of you, okay?
Okay.
There, right in the middle there, as far as it goes.
That's as far as it goes.
Okay, let me turn it a little bit, Jason. I want you to pretend that you're basically speaking all the way to the end of the jury box, all right? All the jurors need to hear you and see you. If they can't hear you down there, it's like you're not testifying, okay?
Okay.
So I know it may be difficult, but please try and keep your voice up.
So who is Corey's biological father?
The defendant.
And what's his name?
Christopher Greiger.
And how old were you when you first met Christopher Greiger?
16.
And do you know what the defendant's birth date is?
It's May 1992.
Now, you're familiar with Christopher Greiger, correct?
Yes.
And you've known him for many years, right?
Yes.
And you see him located in the courtroom today?
I do.
And can you please point to him and tell us where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's sitting over there wearing a suit.
Identifying Mr. Greiger, Your Honor.
So noted, thank you.
Now, is your son Corey no longer with us?
No. Well, yes.
And can you tell the jury the day he passed?
April 2nd, 2021.
And how old was Corey when he passed?
He was 6.
And what types of things did your son Corey like to do as a 6-year-old?
He liked reading, coloring, painting, playing outside.
And what type of demeanor did Corey have as a 6-year-old?
He was happy, silly, loving.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. I'm now showing you what's been marked S1 for identification purposes. And do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay. And is that a picture?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what that's a picture of?
Oh, that's a picture of Corey.
And did you take that picture?
Yes.
So you're familiar with
Yes.
your son Corey, who's depicted in the picture.
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to publish S1.
Any objections?
None.
Are you ready to get the evidence first?
We can move it into evidence, yes. Move into evidence and publish.
No objection to the evidence?
No, Your Honor.
S1 in evidence.
Now, Breanna, can you tell the jurors who's depicted in that picture?
My son Corey,
And how old was he in that picture?
6.
And who took that picture?
I did.
And can you tell the jurors what you were doing when you took that picture of Corey?
We were at the park playing in the snow.
Okay. Now, Breanna, how old was Corey when the defendant entered his life?
He was 5.
And was there a paternity test?
Yes.
And how old was Corey when it was determined that the defendant was his biological father?
Around 4.
And calling your attention to October 28th of 2020, were you and the defendant granted joint custody of Corey?
Yes.
And when that happened, who became the resident parent of Corey?
Christopher.
And when I say resident parent, can you tell us what that means.
He resided with him.
And did you have visitation?
Yes.
And was this ordered by the family court in Middlesex County?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness, counsel?
Yes, of course.
The order? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Your Honor, permission to approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Breanna, I'm now going to show you what's been marked S2 for identification purposes. And can you tell the jury what that is?
It's a court order.
Okay. And where is it a court order from? Is it from the
Family court.
Okay. And on top of this order, is there a date present on S2 where it says filed?
Yes, it's October 28th, 2020.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors what the judge's name is on this order?
Judge Silva.
Okay. And going down into this order where it says it is on this 28th day of October 2020 ordered as follows, can you please read for the jurors what it says in number 1?
Yes. It says the party shall attend court-sponsored mediation on the issues of parenting time and defendant Christopher Greger's name change application. Said mediation will take place at a date and time to be set by the court's mediator.
Okay. And continuing on, can you please read?
The party shall share joint legal custody of the minor child, Corey, date of birth, May 1st, 2014, pendente-like basis. Defendant Christopher Greger shall continue to be the parent of primary residence, and defendant Breanna shall have unsupervised parenting time as follows.
Could you please continue?
Alternating weekends beginning November 6, 2020, from Friday at 5:30 until Sunday at 6 p.m. Breanna shall pick up and drop off Corey at Christopher's home.
Okay, can you continue on, Breanna?
Wednesday evenings from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Breanna shall pick up and drop off Corey at Christopher's home. No one except Breanna and Rebecca shall be present in the home during Breanna's parenting time. And whoever has their child during a scheduled extracurricular activity shall transport him to the activity, however the other parent may attend.
Okay, and then going to number 3, does it talk about the parties unblocking each other from the other cell phone?
Yes.
And then going to number 4, does it talk about the parties shall engage in co-parenting counseling?
Yes.
And then going to number 6, it talks about the parties being barred from making disparaging remarks, correct?
Correct.
And then it go on to give a holiday schedule for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Correct.
And what does number 8 say, please?
Breanna Micciolo shall have Skype calls or FaceTime calls with Corey on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays and Sundays during the weekends when Corey is with Christopher. Similarly, on the weekends that Corey is with Breanna, Christopher shall have Skype or FaceTime with Corey on Saturdays and Sundays. Neither party shall record these calls.
Okay. And the caption of this order is, who is the plaintiff in the matter?
My mom,
Okay, and who is listed as the defendants in the order?
myself, and Christopher.
Now, Breanna, have you struggled with substance abuse?
Yes.
And have you specifically struggled with drugs?
Yes.
And can you please tell the jurors about this?
Yes. In my early 20s, I struggled with drug abuse. When I was younger, I went through a lot, and I feel like I used the drugs to like suppress my emotions. I didn't really have the coping skills that I do now, and yeah, like I said, I was just going through a lot. But I've been clean currently for a long time.
And have you ever used drugs in front of your son, Corey?
No.
And can you tell us why you were granted custody of Corey in October of 2020?
I went through a drug program, and I provided clean urines, and I just fought really hard because I hated living without my son.
Now, calling your attention to September of 2020, where was Corey living?
In Barnegat.
Okay, and who was Corey living with?
The defendant.
And where did the defendant reside?
In Barnegat.
Okay.
Atlantic Heights.
Okay, when you say the Atlantic Heights, can you tell the jurors what that is?
It's an apartment complex.
And did the defendant move from his parents' home in Monroe Township to the apartment in Barnegat?
Yes.
And who else lived in the apartment in Barnegat with Corey and the defendant?
Just them.
Now, Breanna, in October of 2020, can you tell the jurors where you were living?
In Englishtown.
And what type of home did you live in Englishtown?
A townhome.
And who lived in the townhome in Englishtown?
Myself, my mother, my mother's boyfriend, and my sister.
And can you describe for the jurors what the townhome looked like in Englishtown?
It was 2 stories with a finished basement.
And where was your room located in the house?
In the basement.
And can you tell the jurors how come you were living in your mother's home in October of 2020?
I wasn't working at the time, so I couldn't afford it.
And about how far away is Englishtown, New Jersey from Barnegat, New Jersey?
About an hour.
Now, in October of 2020, what grade was Corey in?
He was in 1st grade.
And what school did Corey attend?
Cecil S. Collins.
And the Cecil S. Collins Elementary School, what town is that located in?
Barnegat.
Now, calling your attention to March 19 of 2021, did you have visitation of Corey that weekend?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors when did your visitation start with Corey that weekend?
March 19th.
Okay, and that would have been a Friday night?
Friday.
And where did you go to have your visitation with Corey on Friday the 19th?
The defendant's home.
And why did you go to the defendant's apartment on the 19th to visit Corey?
The court order made it hard to go back to my house, and I just didn't want to fight with him. It was just easier than actually fighting with him.
Okay, and when you're talking about the court order, are you referring to the court order from October 28th of 2020?
Yes.
And are you specifically referring to subsection C, that no one except Breanna and Rebecca shall be present in the home during Breanna's parenting time?
Yes.
So during that time frame, Breanna, was it common for you to go see Corey at the defendant's apartment?
Yes.
And calling your attention specifically to the 19th, did you sleep at the defendant's apartment that night?
Yes.
And why did you stay at the defendant's apartment that night?
The next day I had something to do with Corey early.
And during that time period, was it common for you to stay over the defendant's home during your visitations with Corey?
Yes.
And was the defendant always there when you would stay at the apartment to visit Corey?
Yes.
He was always there?
Yes.
Okay. And what if the defendant had plans?
He would leave, and it would just be me and Corey.
Now, calling your attention to Saturday, March 20th at 2021, did you take Corey for the day?
Yes.
And did you previously discuss your plans with the defendant?
I did.
And can you tell the jurors where you and Corey went?
I took Corey to Pennsylvania to visit my dad for his birthday.
And what part of Pennsylvania did you go to?
Abington.
And what did you and Corey and your dad do in Abington, Pennsylvania?
We went mini golfing and we got ice cream.
And about how far of a drive would it be from Barnegat, New Jersey to Abington, Pennsylvania?
About an hour and a half.
And what time that day were you supposed to bring Corey back home from the visitation?
Between 2 and 3.
And when you were driving back to Barnegat, what were the traffic conditions that day?
There was a lot of traffic.
And what happened due to the traffic?
I was late.
And besides the traffic conditions, why were you also running late?
Corey was enjoying himself, so I didn't want to just rip him away from that.
And who did you tell that you were going to be late that day in bringing him back?
The defendant.
And did the defendant send you a text message on March 20th at approximately 3:04 p.m. about you being late?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach.
Yes.
Breanna, I'm now showing you what's been marked S5 for identification purposes. And do you recognize those?
I do.
And can you tell the jurors what those are?
There are text messages between me and the defendant.
And you're familiar with those text messages?
Yes.
And are those text messages that were located in your cell phone?
Yes.
Okay, now during the course of this investigation, did you provide your cellular phone to the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office?
Yes.
And when did you provide your cell phone to the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office?
The day Corey passed.
And you provided your cell phone to Detective Mitchell.
Correct.
And by doing this, you voluntarily agreed that the prosecutor's office would search your phone.
Yes.
So calling your attention now to S5 in particular, at approximately 3:04, what did the defendant text you in regard to you dropping off Corey on March 20th, 21 at approximately 3:04?
He texted me, "When you get here, please just drop him off."
And what was your response?
I said, "Okay."
And then what did he say next?
He said, "You almost 2 hours late, what the fuck?"
And what did the defendant say next?
He said, "This Friday, however long late you are, is how long after 4:30 you can come."
Can you continue, please? What did he say next?
"FYI, this is beyond pissing me off now. My entire plans for today are ruined.
What did you respond?
I'm driving as fast as I can. There was traffic. I'm sorry." And he said, "I don't care. Whenever you get here, we will take the difference in time from 2 o'clock until then, and that is how long we will add on to 4:30 for when you come on Friday now."
And then, can you tell us?
Yes. He said, "I'm at the clubhouse gym. Just drop him off here. I said, okay. And then again, I said, he can't get in. And then I said, I apologize for being so late, and I mean it. I'm not saying this because I want you to change your mind about Friday. I will come at 6:45, no problem. It's understandable, but I did want to tell you that there was no ill intentions there. I didn't mean to be so late.
Okay, so the text message that you're referring to regarding the clubhouse gym, can you tell for the jurors what time that text message is from regarding Corey not being able to get in?
At 4:14 p.m.
Thank you, Breanna. So, Breanna, on March 20th of 2021, at approximately 4:15, did you drop off Corey to his father at the clubhouse gym at the Atlantic Heights apartment complex?
Yes.
And had you ever been inside the gym located at the clubhouse gym?
I have.
And can you just briefly describe what the clubhouse gym looks like?
There's weights and treadmills.
And where did you park when you dropped Corey off that day?
By the entrance of the clubhouse.
And did Corey have issues getting inside of the gym?
Yes.
And can you please explain what happened regarding Corey being able to enter the clubhouse gym on March 20th of 2021?
The door was locked, so I texted the defendant that he couldn't get in.
And then what happened after that?
He came and unlocked the door.
And what was the defendant's demeanor when he let Corey into the gym and then at that point in time?
He was very angry.
And at any point during this, did he come to your car?
Yes.
After you dropped Corey off on March 20th, 2021, when is the next time that you saw Corey?
I believe it was Tuesday.
Would that have been March 23rd,
Yes.
2021? And on that particular day, did you drive to Barnegat?
Yes.
And did you drive there to visit Corey?
Yes.
And where did you visit with Corey that day?
The defendant's home.
And about what time do you think did you arrive at the defendant's apartment to visit with Corey?
Maybe 4:30.
And that would have been your weekday visitation with Corey?
Yes.
So it would have been like after the school day?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
And where was the defendant when you visited Corey?
He was home.
And did you stay over the apartment that night?
No.
And what time did you leave the apartment?
I would say around 9:30.
And while you were with Corey, did you see any bruises on him?
I did. Yes.
And can you describe for the jurors the bruises that you saw?
He had a bruise on his forehead, and it was very odd shaped, and it kind of looked like an imprint of something.
And besides that bruise, did you see another bruise?
He had one on his chest. It looked like a scrape.
And where were you when you saw these bruises on Corey?
Corey and I went on a walk in the neighborhood.
And did you speak to Corey about the bruises that you saw?
Yes.
And where were you and Corey when you spoke?
We were on the walk.
And what was Corey's demeanor when you spoke to him about the bruises that you saw?
He just seemed upset and scared.
Now, calling your attention to March 26th of 2021, did you make a referral to DCP&P?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors who DCP&P is?
They are the Department of Children's Protection and Permanency.
Or people know them as DIFUS.
Yeah.
And how did you contact DCP&P?
Through the hotline.
And why did you make a referral to DCP&P at this time?
I felt like Corey's abuse was getting really bad, and I felt like they needed to do something about it.
Now, drawing your attention to Saturday, March 27th at 2021, did you see Corey that day?
I'm sorry, what day was it?
Saturday, March 27th of 2021. Did you see Corey that day?
Yes.
And where did you see Corey?
In Stafford or Barnegat.
And why were you at Stafford or Barnegat to see Corey?
He was having flag football tryouts.
And where did you go to see the flag football tryouts?
I think it was South Jersey, like Stafford or Barnegat.
Okay. And did you see the flag football tryouts?
Yes,
And who brought Corey to the tryout?
the defendant.
And how did you arrive to the fields for the flag football tryouts?
I drove myself.
And why did you meet the defendant there that day?
He didn't want to drive with me because he didn't want to be seen with me. I'm too trashy.
And what type of contact was allowed for first grade flag football?
It's no contact.
What, if any, injuries did Corey sustain at the flag football tryout?
None.
After the flag football tryout, did you take Corey back to your house in Manalapan for visitation?
I did.
And where did you take Corey to?
My house.
And did you have a conversation with the defendant at the tryout about bringing Corey back to your home for visitation?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what the defendant said in regard to you bringing Corey back to your home?
He told me just to take him for the weekend.
And were you expecting that you were going to be able to take Corey home from tryouts?
No.
And that occurred during the tryout.
Yes.
Now, in regard to the court-ordered visitation schedule, did you and the defendant always follow what was specifically said in the court order?
No.
And can you tell the jurors why not?
I'm not sure.
Well, what about, would there be circumstances which would...
Oh, yes, Christopher would let me take him to my house knowing the people that he didn't want to be there were there a few times.
Okay. When did you bring Corey back to the house in Barnegat after you brought him to your home after flag football?
On Sunday.
And can you tell the jurors what time did you return Corey to his father the next day?
Around 6.
And while Corey was at your home after the flag football tryouts, what, if any, bruising did you see to his body?
He had a large bruise on his chest. He had, it looked like fingerprint bruises all over his arms and legs. And he had it was very large on his hip, on his side.
Now, besides the bruises, can you tell the jurors about Corey's physical condition?
He was normal.
Now, during your visitation with Corey at your home in Manalapan, was Corey exposed to anyone with COVID?
No.
And had anyone in your family attended a funeral?
No.
Had anyone in your family attended a mass gathering?
No.
At that time, what did you learn about Corey being out of school?
The defendant took him out of school for an apparent or exposed to COVID.
Did you confront the defendant about this?
Yes.
And what did the defendant do in response?
He blocked me.
On March 30th of 2021, did you contact the pediatrician about getting Corey an appointment?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors why you contacted the pediatrician?
Well, because I suspected that Corey was being abused, and I went on the advice of a DCPMP worker.
Objection.
So sustained. You should strike that. That's hearsay, if someone else told her something, so you should strike that, not consider it. If the state calls that person, then we'll deal with it at that time. Thank you.
Did you get an appointment with a pediatrician?
Yes,
And what day was the appointment scheduled for?
April 1st.
And April 1st was a Thursday? And what time was the appointment scheduled for, Breanna?
Around 5,
And why did you make the appointment at 5?
because that's when my parenting time was.
And who was the appointment made with? What pediatrician?
IV Pediatrics.
And did you have a conversation with the DCPNP caseworker?
Yes,
Without telling us the conversation, what was the caseworker's name?
name,
Yes.
Mark Waltonowski.
Calling your attention to March 31st of 2021, did you file an emergent application for full custody of Corey with the family court?
Yes,
And can you tell the jurors why you did this?
I was in fear for Corey's life.
And was DCPNP involved in this process?
Yes,
Now, on April 1st of 2021, what time did you pick up Corey that day for visitation?
around 4:30.
And after you picked up Corey, where did you take him?
To the pediatrician.
And what was the name of the pediatrician or the practice?
IV Pediatrics.
And what town was the pediatrician located in?
Tom's River.
And when you picked up Corey that day, what was Corey's demeanor?
He was fine.
And when you picked up Corey that day, what was his physical condition?
He still had some bruises, but other than that, he was normal.
And when you got to the pediatrician's office, did Corey speak to the doctor?
Yes,
And was Corey examined by the doctor?
yes,
And did you speak to the doctor?
I did.
Now, based upon this conversation, where did you take Corey next?
The community medical center.
And where is Community Medical Center located?
I believe in Tom's River.
And why did you take Corey to Community Medical Center in Tom's River?
To be examined further, and he needed to get x-rays and blood work.
Okay. And while you were either at the pediatrician or on your way to Community Medical Center, did you receive the family court order regarding your emergent application?
Yes,
Your Honor, permission to approach?
Yes, of course.
Breanna, I'm now showing you what's been marked S17 for identification purposes. And can you please read the caption at the top of just saying that who the
Okay.
court order is from?
Honorable Patrick Bradshaw, JSC, Superior Court of New Jersey, Chancery Division Family Part.
Okay. Now, calling your attention to this order, can you tell us who opened this court order?
I did.
Okay. And the court, can you read on the first paragraph, starting with, and the court having considered, what the court considered?
Objection.
What's the basic position?
How would she know what the court considered?
It's in a
Well,
document.
I think the question is that the order recites what the court considered. Do you have an objection to that? Nope. All right, thank you.
That's the question. Can you read off the order, please?
Right here.
Yeah, you could start with.
Okay, and the court having considered the paper submitted, and the court having reviewed a letter of investigatory findings submitted by the Department of Child Protection and Permanency, and good cause having been shown, it is on this first day of April 2021 ordered as follows.
Okay. And as the court order continues, you were denied your request for emergent custody, correct?
Correct.
And then continuing with this order, specifically in subsection 2, can you read for the jury what the court order says?
It says, upon recommendation by DCPMP, this court orders that the party's minor child, Corey, undergo a CPC evaluation as a part of its ongoing investigation.
Okay, and I could just stop you there. And a CPC evaluation, that would in essence be an examination for what was going on with Corey and the bruising, correct?
Objection.
It doesn't matter, Judge. I can withdraw the question.
Well,
That's
it's leading, so
Okay.
so it's a statement.
We'll go to subsection 3, if you could read for what the order says.
The court also orders the parties to confer with one another to agree upon a date and time in which Corey shall be made available for an examination by his pediatrician regarding Corey's bruising within 7 days of this order.
Okay. Now, after Corey was at the pediatrician, where did you take him next?
To the hospital.
And what hospital, again, did you take him to?
Community Medical Center.
And how did you drive Corey to Community Medical Center?
In my car.
And what was Corey's physical condition while in the car?
He was okay.
And can you tell the jurors what Corey's demeanor was when he was in the car?
Same as always, he was normal.
And about what time did you arrive at Community Medical Center?
Probably like between 6 and 7.
And was Corey examined at Community Medical Center?
Yes.
And what department was this in?
The emergency room.
And did Corey speak to the doctor?
Yes.
And did you speak to the doctor?
Yes.
And based upon your conversation, where did you take Corey next?
Jersey Shore Medical Center.
Now, while you were at Community Medical Center, before you got to Jersey Shore, did the defendant send you a text message as to where you were?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach. 7. Mario, wanna see this? Okay, I'm now showing you what has been marked S7 for identification purposes. And do you recognize these?
Yes.
And are these what?
Text messages between me and the defendant.
Okay. And calling your attention on S7, in particular to the first text message contained in the document, can you please tell the jury what the defendant texted you?
Judge, I can object since it's a document, not an evidence. I don't know how she could read from it.
Your Honor, we already had a 104 hearing.
Where do you want to move into evidence?
I can move them into evidence. I was going to do it at the end, but...
Okay, I'll agree to that.
Okay, so I have the other ones too I can move into evidence. So the state will move it into evidence as well.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear about these text messages. The statements of the defendant, you can consider as statements. I'm going to give you an instruction later about statements of defendant electronically or if there's any oral ones. So I'll ask you to consider them at the end of the case in connection with that instruction. In addition, in terms of the statements of Ms. Micciolo, they're actually hearsay, but she's here testifying about it. So I'll allow them in for that reason. I concluded it wouldn't make much sense for me just to give you the defendant's statements or responses if you couldn't see the other half of the conversation. So in order to be able to give you a full picture, I'm allowing both Ms. Micciolo's messages and the defendant's alleged responses into evidence in order to give you that context to be able to analyze them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so turning your attention then to S7 in particular at the top of the page at approximately 4:01 at, can you read the time for the jurors?
7:26.
Okay, and what did the defendant text you?
He said, "Where are you?"
And what did he text you next?
He said, "It'll be past 7:30 and I will take over and be with my son."
And what did he say after that?
"I have no idea where you are and you will not tell me on the phone. Why is that? You were past your time by the court order and I want to be there for my son."
Okay. And what was your response to that?
I said, "I am driving to Jersey Shore Medical Center. I'm doing what a caseworker for DCPMP told me to do."
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Breanna, while you were at Community Medical Center, did you sign Corey out of the hospital?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors why you did this?
Because I wanted to drive him myself to Jersey Shore Medical Center.
And why did you want to drive him yourself to Jersey Shore Medical Center?
Because I was already late and I didn't want to spend another 30 minutes waiting.
And what had the hospital offered at the time?
To transport Corey.
Now, while Corey was at Community Medical Center, was he physically examined?
Yes.
And what was Corey's condition at Community Medical Center?
He was fine.
Now, did Jersey Shore Medical Center have a pediatric abuse specialist on staff?
Yes.
And while all this was happening, did you speak to Barb, the DCPMP worker?
Yes.
Now, after you and Corey left Community Medical Center, where did you immediately go?
Jersey Shore Medical Center.
And what was Corey's physical condition while you were with Corey in the car?
Fine. He was just watching videos on my phone.
And what was Corey's demeanor?
Normal. Happy.
Now, approximately what time did you arrive at Jersey Shore Medical Center with Corey?
Around 8.
And did you speak to the doctor at Jersey Shore Medical Center?
Yes.
And did Corey speak to the doctor at Jersey Shore Medical Center?
Yes.
And what was Corey's demeanor while at Jersey Shore Medical Center?
He was okay. He was just a little tired because it was getting late.
And was Corey examined by a doctor at Jersey Shore Medical Center?
He was.
And what tests were performed on Corey at Jersey Shore Medical Center?
He had an x-ray and blood work.
And while Corey was at Jersey Shore Medical Center, was he seen by the pediatric abuse specialist?
I believe so.
Or is he seen by an emergency room doctor?
I think it was an emergency room doctor.
Now, while you were at Jersey Shore Medical Center on April 1st of 2021, did you have a telephone conversation with the defendant?
Yes.
And about what time did that conversation occur?
Around 8:30.
And can you tell us about the conversation you had with the defendant?
He called me and he asked me to leave the hospital with Corey, and I said I wouldn't. I want him to be checked out, and then he started just verbally attacking me and fighting with me.
And did the defendant know that you were at Jersey Shore Hospital with Corey?
Yes.
And can you tell us what happened at the hospital regarding your cell phone?
My phone died.
Now, at 11:43 p.m., did the defendant send you a text message asking you where you were?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach? No, you're S8. So, Breanna, at approximately 11:43, p.m., while you were at Jersey Shore Medical Center, did the defendant send you a text message asking where you were?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness?
Yes, absolutely.
You want to see it? Good. Okay, Breanna, I'm now showing you what's been marked S8 for identification purposes. And do you recognize that?
Yes.
And those are text messages from your phone?
Yes.
And you're familiar with those text messages?
I am.
Your Honor, permission to enter into evidence and publish?
Certainly, so that's S8.
S8.
Any objection?
None.
S8 in evidence.
Okay, now calling your attention to the first message. Can you tell the jurors what the defendant said to you and what time that this occurred?
At 11:43, the defendant said, "Why are you now ignoring me?"
And can you tell the jurors what your response was?
I said, "My phone died and I just got a charger. I'm at the hospital because DCPMP spoke to doctors and they told me to come here. You could have came here from the beginning. You said no, drop him off. We could have taken turns the whole time. I'm not doing anything wrong. Stay up and I'll drop him off as soon as we're done."
Can you please turn the page? Now calling your attention, can you please continue to read the first two messages with the dates and the time as well to the jury?
On 4/1/21 at 11:52, I said, "You're not going to stay awake." And then on 4/2/21 at 12:48, I said, "How are you going to go to court and say anything about me keeping him? You won't even stay up for me to drop him off, and I'm offering now."
Okay. Thank you. Now, after those text messages, when is the next time you heard from the defendant?
The next morning, or that morning.
Now, was Corey released from Jersey Shore Medical Center?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors about his blood work?
It was all normal.
And what about in regard to any x-rays or scans?
That was normal as well.
And was that text message at approximately 11:43, was that the last time that you had contact with the defendant that evening?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors why would you try to bring Corey back to his father's house from Jersey Shore Medical Center?
So I didn't break the court order.
Now, after you left Jersey Shore with Corey, can you tell the jurors where you went?
I went to my house in Englishtown.
And how long of a ride was it?
About 45 minutes.
And what was Corey's demeanor in the car ride?
He was tired. It was 1 a.m. and he fell asleep in the car.
And about what time did you then arrive at your home?
I want to say like around 1:30.
Okay. And when you got to your house, can you tell us who was awake?
No one.
And when you got to your house, where did you and Corey immediately go?
We went to my bedroom
And where was your bedroom located in the house?
in the basement.
And where did you and Corey sleep that night?
We slept in my bed.
Okay. And while you slept in bed with Corey, what was his physical condition?
He was okay.
And can you tell the jurors what Corey's demeanor was while you slept in bed with him?
Normal.
And can you tell the jurors why you slept in bed with Corey that night?
It was just easier because it was really late and I just didn't want to get him ready in his room.
What time did you and Corey wake up the next morning?
Around 7:30.
And when Corey woke up, did you dress him?
Yes.
And where did you dress Corey?
In my room.
And what did you dress Corey in?
I put him in a sweatshirt, jeans, and sneakers.
And what about his underwear?
They were blue underwear.
And what was the condition of the clothes that you dressed Corey in?
They were clean.
And after you dressed Corey, where did the two of you then go?
We ate breakfast in the kitchen.
And when you went upstairs to eat breakfast in the kitchen, who was there?
My mom and her boyfriend, Richie.
And did Corey have breakfast?
Yes,
And did he eat?
he did.
And do you remember what he ate?
He ate a bagel and a Go-Gurt.
And were you with Corey the entire time that he was eating breakfast?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what was Corey's physical condition in the morning when he was eating breakfast?
He was okay.
And what about his demeanor?
Normal. He was fine.
Now, that morning of the 2nd at approximately 6:48 a.m., did you receive a text message from the defendant?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
It's the rest of them. You saw them already?
Okay.
Oh. Breanna, I'm now showing what's been marked S8, which has already been admitted to evidence. Turning your attention to the text message conversation. Can you please tell the jurors what the defendant said, starting with that particular message, and can you let the jurors know the time and the date as well?
Okay. On 4/2/21 at 6:46 a.m., he said, "I'm going to court because you decided to go when you had 7 days last night, and by your text, you were still there at 12:50 at night. You are a detriment to Corey's health, and I will be going to court today about it."
And can you read the next message from the defendant as well?
Yes. 6:46. He said, "By the way, school starts at 8:30, so have him back before 8:30.
Breanna, after Corey had breakfast, where did you drive to?
To the defendant's house.
And when you were driving to the defendant's house in Barnegat, where was Corey seated in the car?
He was in the back seat.
And how long of it was a drive to Barnegat?
About an hour.
And what was Corey doing while you were driving to Barnegat with him in the car?
He was watching YouTube on my phone.
And what was Corey's demeanor in the car?
He was okay.
Now, while you were driving Corey to Barnegat, did you receive a text message from the defendant?
I did.
Your Honor, permission to approach?
Yes, certainly.
Breanna, I'm now showing you what has been marked S9 for identification purposes. Do you recognize this?
Yes,
And you're familiar with that?
I am.
And is that a text message that you received from the defendant, which was located on your phone?
Yes.
And can you please tell the jurors what the defendant texted you, including the date and the time of the text message?
Yes. On 4/2/21 at 8:37 a.m., he said, "I mean, considering you did kidnap my son for an entire day and night, the minimum that is happening is an entire day and night is going to be removed from your next visit maximum. Hopefully the courts will agree with my application this morning and you will lose all rights."
Thank you. Now, when you got to the defendant's apartment complex to drop off Corey, where did you park?
In front of the defendant's home.
And about what time did you get to the apartment complex to drop off Corey that morning?
Around 9 a.m.
And when you got there, where was the defendant's car?
I'm not sure. It wasn't there.
And did you text the defendant asking where he was?
Yes.
And what did the defendant say to you in regard to where he was?
He said he was home.
And before Corey had left the car, did you provide Corey with a piece of paper?
I did.
And what did you give Corey?
It was a paper from the hospital that had information so the defendant could look at his records.
And why did you do that?
I was just being nice.
And did you speak to Corey in the car before you sent him into the defendant's home?
I did.
And was that the last time that you spoke to Corey?
It was.
Did Corey exit your car?
He did.
And can you tell the jurors where Corey walked?
He walked inside the defendant's home.
And how was Corey walking when he went to the defendant's apartment?
Fine.
And did Corey open the apartment door of
Yeah.
the defendant's apartment?
Yes.
Now, continuing on, in the morning of April 2nd of 2021, were you and the defendant arguing?
Yes.
Okay, permission to approach
Yes.
S11. Breanna, I'm now showing you what's been marked S11 for identification purposes. And again, are those text messages that were contained in your phone? And you're familiar with those messages?
I am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to publish and into evidence of S11.
No objection.
That's 11 on evidence.
So, Breanna, starting with the top message, can you please tell the jury about your conversation with the defendant?
Yes, at 9:48 a.m., I said, "Stop being so cocky. If I were you, I definitely wouldn't be."
And
Yeah.
then what did the defendant respond?
He said, "Yes, I am a ludicrous charge by you that when you went to court yesterday was completely thrown out and disregarded."
And can you continue with his next message?
He said, "Shows how much evidence there is, doesn't it? You're going to be in for a rude awakening today."
So, Breanna, what is the next time that you heard from the defendant on April 2nd of 2021?
Around 3:30.
And did you speak to the defendant on the telephone?
Yes.
And at 3:30 on April 2nd, what did the defendant tell you about Corey?
He said he was lethargic. His legs were hurting. He was sleeping all day, and he was throwing up and just didn't feel good. And then he told me to send Corey's insurance card to him.
And did you send the defendant Corey's insurance card?
I did.
And did the defendant say anything about taking Corey to the hospital?
Yes.
And did the defendant tell you what hospital he was taking Corey to?
No.
Was that the last time that you had spoken to the defendant on that day?
Yes.
And did you learn what hospital Corey was taken to?
Yes.
After the phone conversation, did you know at that time what hospital Corey was taken to?
No.
And at that time, what did you do?
I started calling the hospitals to see if Corey was there. I also called my local police department to kind of report Corey as like I don't know where he is, and he's not feeling good. He's sick.
And about 6 o'clock that day on the 2nd, did the police come to your home?
Yes.
And did you learn at that time that Corey had passed?
I did.
Now, on that same day that Corey passed away, did you go to the police station and provide a statement?
I did.
And whom did you speak to?
Detective Dennis Mitchell.
And what did you give to Detective Mitchell at the police station?
My cell phone.
And did you voluntarily provide that to the detective?
Yes.
And did you also allow officers to photograph your home in Englishtown?
Yes.
The photos. Your Honor, permission to
Please.
approach. Breanna, I'm now showing you what's been marked S21, S20, S23, S19, S35, S32, S33, and S24, and S34, and also S24. Now, calling your attention to S22, are you familiar with the area
Yes.
depicted there? And can you tell the jurors what that is?
It's a TV stand in my bedroom.
Okay, and in your hand, you're holding a what?
Photograph.
And you're familiar with that because it's in your bedroom?
Correct.
I'm now showing you what's been marked S23 for identification purposes. And can you tell the jurors what that is?
This is my bedroom.
Okay, and what you're holding is what, a photograph?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the area depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
Okay, I'm now showing you what's been marked S20. Is this another photograph?
Yes.
Okay, and are you familiar with the area depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's the entrance to my house.
Okay, I'm now showing you what's been marked S21. Are you familiar with that photograph?
Yes.
And what is that a picture of?
It's a hallway to my bedroom.
Okay, so you're familiar what's depicted in that photograph. I'm now going to show you what has been marked S19. Are you familiar with the area depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what that is a photograph of?
It's a photo of the defendant's home.
And you've been to that location before.
Yes.
I'm now showing you what has been marked S24. And are you familiar as to what's depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
And what's depicted in that photograph?
It's the paper I gave Corey to go inside with.
Okay, so you're familiar with that paper because it was under your control and then you gave it to Corey.
Yes.
I'm now showing you what's been marked S34 for identification purposes, and do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that a photograph of?
Corey's underwear.
And is that the underwear that you put on Corey when you drove him to the defendant's house on April 2nd of 2021?
Yes.
And in regard to that photograph, is what's depicted in that photo the condition of the underwear that you sent Corey with that day in going to the home?
No.
And I'm now showing you what's been marked S33, and are you familiar with that?
Yes.
And what is that a photograph of?
Corey's underwear.
And again, is the underwear in the same condition as to when you sent Corey in that underwear to the defendant's home?
No.
I'm now showing you what's been marked S32 for identification purposes. And again, is that the underwear that you sent Corey in, a photo of that on April 2nd of 2021?
No.
That's not the underwear?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. And is the condition the same?
No.
Okay. And I'm now showing you what's marked S35 for identification purposes. And can you tell the jurors what that is?
It's Corey's underwear.
And again, you're familiar with that? And that's the underwear that you sent him in?
Yes.
And was that the condition it was when you sent him in that
No.
underwear? Your Honor, the state would ask for permission to publish and move into evidence the photos.
Your Honor, can I just see S22 and 23?
Sure. Ms. Lento, I'd like you to just put them in order so we can go through them in numerical order
Sure.
when we enter them into evidence. Maybe you could show 22 and 23 to Mr. Wood.
I'm giving it to you. She's giving it to you. 22? 23? Yes, 22.
I'm fine.
No objection?
Okay.
All right, so if I kept those numbers correct, it would be, let me know if I'm right, Ms. Lento, S19 through S24 and S32 through S35, is that right?
Yes, Judge.
All right,
That
so
is right.
S19 through and including S24 in evidence, S32 through and including S35 in evidence.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, at this point, we would ask for permission to publish the photos to the jury.
Grant.
Thank you. Okay, Breanna, so you're familiar with that location.
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what that location is?
That's the defendant's home.
And the day that you dropped Corey off back to his father on April 2nd, can you show the jurors where you parked that day using the photograph of S19, which is now before the jury?
Yeah, it was all the way to the right, the second spot to the left.
We could go to the next picture. Okay, I'm now showing you S20, which has been published to the jury. And can you tell the jurors what that is a picture of?
That's the entrance of my home.
So when you came home with Corey around 1 something on April 2nd, is that where you and Corey entered the home?
Yes.
And what area in your home does that depict?
The entrance and the living room's to the left, and my bedroom doors to the right after the hallway.
We can move to S21, please. Okay, now you can see S21, which has been published to the jury. And can you tell the jurors what is depicted in that photograph?
That's the stairs and the hallway to my bedroom.
S22, please. And can you tell the jurors what that is?
That's a TV stand in my bedroom.
Okay, and why is that TV stand there in your bedroom?
To hold the TV.
And is that where you would generally sleep downstairs?
Yes.
Okay. If we could then go to S23. And can you tell the jurors what that is a picture of?
My bedroom.
Okay. Now, the night that you brought Corey back to your home in Englishtown on April 2nd at 1-something in the morning, can you show the jury where you and Corey slept?
Yes, it was the bed on the left.
Next picture, please. I'm now showing you what's been marked S24, which has been published to the jury. And can you tell the jurors what that is a photograph of?
That's the paper the hospital gave me that I gave Corey to give to the defendant.
And I'm now showing you, if we could move to the next photo, S32. And can you tell the jurors what S32, the photograph, shows?
They're Corey's underwear.
Now, is that the underwear that you sent Corey in to his defendant's home on April 2nd of 2021?
Yes.
And if we could move to the next picture, please. I'm now showing you what's been marked S33. Is that the underwear that you sent Corey in to the defendant's home on April 2nd?
Yes.
Now, when you sent Corey in this underwear, was that the condition of the underwear?
No.
And what was the condition of the underwear when you sent Corey to the home?
They were clean.
And can we now go to S34? And again, is this a photo of the underwear that you dressed Corey in when you brought him to the defendant's home on April 2nd?
Yes.
And is that the condition of the underwear?
No.
S35. And again, the underwear on S35 as the photograph, was that the condition of the underwear that you sent Corey in when you brought him to the defendant's home?
No.
And what was the condition of the underwear that you sent?
They were clean.
S36? Oh, no S36, Judge.
All right, we didn't get to that yet.
Yep. You want to do a flash drive?
This one
is recording. This one is the gym. Okay. The voice recording. I'm now going to show you what's been marked S15A for identification purposes. And do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's a flash drive.
And are you familiar as to what's contained on that flash drive?
Yes.
And have you previously viewed what has been contained upon that flash drive?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors what is contained in S15A?
It's a conversation between me and my son.
And when did this conversation occur?
On April 2nd.
And are you speaking to Corey in this conversation?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask to move S15A into evidence and publish to the jury.
S15A in evidence.
Oh, and also, too, the transcript. Yeah. If I may approach the transcript.
He needs to see it because you went to the doctor and I just want to make sure he sees that, okay? I'm not sure where he is. Yeah, he's inside. I don't know why the car's not here. That's strange.
Okay, Breanna, so in regard to the video recording that you just saw and listened to, is that your voice depicted on the recording?
Yes.
And who is the other voice depicted on the recording?
My son Corey?
And obviously you're familiar with Corey's voice.
Yes.
And the conversation that you had with Corey on April 2nd of 2021, a little past 9 a.m. that morning, does that accurately depict the conversation that you had with him, what was shown in this video?
Yes.
Now, did you know that you were recording this conversation at the time?
No.
And how did it come to be that this conversation that you had with Corey was recorded?
Detective Dennis Mitchell from the prosecutor's office called me and asked me about it.
Okay. And Detective Mitchell had your cellular phone?
Yes.
Okay. And was this video recorded on your cellular phone?
Yes.
And did you purposely record this on your cellular phone?
No.
And how did it come to be that the recording existed from your cellular phone?
I must have accidentally took the video.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
Yes, ABCD.
Yes, it's been on.
Mario. Flash drive. Video. Jim.
Okay. I'm now showing you what has been marked S18 for identification purposes. And can you tell the jurors what S18 is?
It's a flash drive.
And are you familiar as to the contents which are contained on this flash drive?
Yes.
And did you review the contents of this flash drive before you came to court today?
Yes.
Now, contained within this flash drive is SA. And is SA a surveillance video from the Atlantic Heights apartment complex in Barnegat from March 20th of 2021?
Yes.
And you are familiar with that location as to what is contained on S18A.
Yes.
And you've been to that location before.
Yes.
And you're also familiar with who is depicted on that video, correct?
Yes.
And in regard to the A video, you are actually present on the video, correct?
Yes.
And you are familiar with the other parties as well.
Yes.
I'm now going to draw your attention to S18, what would be B, C, and D. And those are also surveillance videos from the Atlantic Heights apartment complex gym, correct?
Yes.
And you have reviewed those videos before you came to court today, correct?
Yes.
And you are familiar with the location which is depicted on B, C, and D.
Yes.
And you're also familiar with the parties who are located on those surveillance videos.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence, S18, A, B, C, and D of S18.
No objection.
S18, A, B, C, and D.
Thank you. And permission to publish, Your Honor, starting with A.
Yes.
Okay, Breanna. In regard to video A, there is a car located on that surveillance video.
Yes.
And whose car was that?
That's my car.
And there was also an adult male located on the surveillance video. And can you tell the jury who that was?
The defendant.
And there's also a child located on the surveillance video. Can you tell the jury who that is?
My son Corey.
Does that video accurately depict when you dropped Corey off to his father's apartment complex gym on March 20th, 2021 at approximately 4:15 p.m.?
Yes.
Now, there was a timestamp located on the video, correct?
Correct.
And is that accurate within an approximate reasonable time?
Yes.
Permission to publish videos B, C, and D, Your Honor.
Grant.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll start at the beginning.
We're just going to move to the next video, which would be S18C for purposes of the record.
Very good.
Your Honor, permission to publish video D, please. Now, Breanna, who is the child located in that video?
That's Corey.
And how old was Corey in that video?
He was 6.
And who was the adult male located in that video?
The defendant.
And again, you're familiar with that area.
Yes.
Now, when was the first time that you ever saw that video?
A few weeks ago.
And have you ever had possession of that video?
No.
Your Honor, there's no further questions for the witness at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Rucci.
How are you, Ms. Micciolo?
I'm okay. How are you?
You need a second?
I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So, when was Corey born?
May 1st, 2014.
And where did he live when he was born?
With me, Monroe Township.
Okay. And who lived in the house with you?
My family, my parents, my sister.
And how long did he live in Monroe Township?
A few months.
And did there come a time when you guys moved from Monroe Township
Yes, we moved to Florida.
to Florida? And how long were you in Florida?
A few years.
Okay. And who lived with you in Florida?
My parents and my sister.
Okay. So it was just the 4 of you and Corey.
I think my brother lived with us at the time too.
And then there came a time you moved back to Jersey, or did you move to Pennsylvania?
I was in New Jersey.
Okay. So you moved from New Jersey to Florida, from Florida back to New Jersey.
I did.
And when did you move back to New Jersey?
Maybe 2017.
And how old was Corey in 2017?
3 years old?
Then it comes a time when I believe it was either you or your mother make an application for child support from Christopher, am I right?
Around there.
Around the time you moved back from Florida to New Jersey?
Yes.
And was it you or your mother that made that application?
It was my mother.
And prior to that, how were you supporting Corey?
Through my parents.
And there came a time where they didn't want to support him anymore?
Objection. It's hearsay.
Oh,
Sustain.
yeah.
Thank you.
Sustain.
So there came a time where your mother decided that she wanted to seek paternity of who this child is to get child support.
No.
So how did it come back?
I applied to get food stamps and health insurance and, assistance from the government, and they made us name the defendant as the father, and they ordered him to get a DNA test.
Okay. And then you got a DNA test, right?
Correct.
And then you moved at some point back to New Jersey.
I guess so.
Well, did he come to Jersey?
He did. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So he moved to New Jersey.
He did.
But when he moved to New Jersey, he not only paid child support, but he had custody along with you and your mother, am I right?
He had visitation in the beginning, yeah.
Okay. And the visitation would be at your house and at his parents' house, I guess, in Monroe?
Yeah. Yeah, Corey would go to his parents after school.
And things were fine, right?
I wouldn't say fine.
Okay.
No.
Tell me why.
I think it was maybe the first or second visit, Corey came home with a busted lip. Yes,
And you made a complaint about that,
I
didn't you?
did.
Okay. And it was investigated, am I
It
right?
was, yep.
Okay. And when it was investigated, it was found out that Mr. Greger,
Objection, Judge, it's hearsay.
was it investigated?
It was.
Okay. It found it?
No.
Objection, Judge.
Right, can we, I see Council Circle.
In March, I guess, of 220 or January of 220, we were having an issue with drugs.
Yes.
You testified to that.
Yes.
And at that point, you lose custody of Corey.
Yes.
Am I right? And what was the drug you used?
Methamphetamine.
Methamphetamines?
Yes.
And what is a methamphetamine? I don't know.
It's a methamphetamine. I don't know how to, it's a drug.
Okay. And you lost custody of Corey in, I guess it was January of 2020 as a result of that addiction?
It's around there.
Okay. And did you go to rehab at that point?
I went to a drug program, yes.
Okay. And where was the drug program?
Stress care in Mattawan.
Okay. And how long was that program?
About 8 weeks.
8 weeks? And then in March, I believe it's your mother makes an application to start to get visitation of Corey, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't recall.
But you still don't have custody or visitation rights at that point, am I right?
Correct.
And why was that?
Because of the drug test?
So did you fail the drug test after the rehab stint?
No.
So what was it about the drug test that made you not able to take care of your child?
I just didn't apply for it yet, and to get custody back yet. I was still working on myself.
You were working on your sobriety?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you become sober?
Around the summer of that year?
The summer of 2020?
Yes.
So in the summer of 2020, you become sober, and up until the moment you're sitting here, you've been sober.
No, I have relapsed.
Okay. And when did you relapse?
Probably around December 2020.
December of what year?
2020.
I can't hear.
2020.
2020.
Yes.
So in December of 2020, you relapsed again. Was
Yes.
it the same drug, the methamphetamine?
It was.
And how do you take that? Is that like something called a bump? I've heard that term.
Yeah, you snort it.
Okay,
Yeah.
you snort.
Mhm.
So when you say the word bump, that means you're snorting a methamphetamine.
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Is that how you ingest it?
yes.
So, in January of 2020, you have a drug issue, you lose custody of Corey. In March of 2020, you still don't have custody of Corey. I believe it's in October, though, of 2020 that you're now allowed visitation.
I am, yes.
Okay. And in October of 2020, you then relapse in December of 2020.
Yes.
Does Christopher know that you relapsed in December of 2020? Did you tell him?
I don't believe I did.
Okay. And did you go back to rehab?
I did not.
Okay. Were you able to get over the addiction at that point?
No.
So you relapsed again.
Yes.
When did you relapse again?
I don't know. I have to think. Maybe February. I can't
February of-
recall. It was on and off, like once or twice throughout.
February of 2021?
Yes.
And was that the last relapse?
Yes. Yes.
So from February of 2021 until you sit here today, you've been sober.
No.
Okay. So you relapsed again.
Okay. Yes, I did one time. Yes.
Okay. What was that?
Probably around the same time.
February of 2021.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So sometime between February of 2021 and as you sit here today, you're sober.
Yes.
So, do you know a person named Dustin Wondren?
I do.
Okay. And can you tell me who Dustin Wondren is?
He is my ex-boyfriend.
Your ex-boyfriend. Now, were you dating Dustin Wondren in April 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, do you have something called Facebook?
Yes.
And on Facebook, I believe there's something called Messenger. Am I right?
Okay, yes.
And did you and Justin Bordrin ever use Facebook Messenger to communicate with each other?
Yes.
Okay. And the day Corey died was what?
April 2nd.
Do you remember having a conversation with Justin Bordrin on April 2nd?
Objection, Judge, it's hearsay.
Well, her statements would not be hearsay. So the existence of
Right.
a conversation doesn't convey any content yet, so that objection's overruled.
Thank you.
Do you remember having a conversation with Justin Bordrin on April 2nd of 2021, beginning at 2:54 p.m.?
I don't remember it, but
Can I cross?
Please. Should identify that exhibit, please.
It's a Facebook
No, just by numbering.
D4.
Thank you.
you want me to read it?
Well, I want you to tell me if you recognize the conversation.
Oh.
Is that you and Dustin?
Yeah.
So you recognize that conversation?
Yes.
Back for a second. Now, on 4/2/21, what time has you dropped Corey off at Christopher's house?
On April 2nd, you said? Around 9 a.m.
9 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went right home?
I believe so.
And at what time did Christopher ask you to send him the insurance claim information?
Around 3:30.
Do you remember in this Facebook chat at about 3:49 p.m. asking a person named Justin Boydranda to bring me a bump?
Yes. I see it.
You remember that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the day Corey died.
It was.
Okay? That's the day that you don't know what's going on, right? You don't have any idea what's going on yet, right?
Correct.
All right? And you're asking Justin to bring you a methamphetamine.
Yes.
So, and you said that you relapsed in February.
Yes.
Is that true?
I actually, that day I didn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you
So-
wanted to do it.
I mean, yeah, I was very upset about my son being abused.
So you wanted a what is it?
Methamphetamine?
Methamphetamine. Do you recall on that same time, a little later in the afternoon, where you are saying, can I come over and buy one?
What time was this? 4:03. I do, yeah. This is the same text message thread? Yeah.
And do you recall then going on and saying, I mean, I could get it by myself,
Yes.
I just don't want that much?
Yes.
Now, what does that mean, I don't want that much?
I wasn't like in active addiction, so I didn't need much. So that's what that means.
Explain to me what that means. I don't
Objection, Judge,
I
she
don't-
just answered the question.
Can you rephrase the question?
When you said I don't need that much to Justin Bordrin, are you discussing with him the amount of methamphetamine that you wanted?
Yes.
Okay. So when you said I don't want that much, it's less than you normally take?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
What did you normally take?
More than that, I guess.
Well, what was that?
A bump?
A bump? One bump? Well, how big is a bump?
I don't know. Depends.
What does it depend on?
Whoever puts it out. I don't know what you're asking me, really.
I'm asking you what you were asking for.
Methamphetamine.
And how much?
A bump. I don't know how to explain it anyway else.
So on the day that you are complaining that your son was allegedly abused by Christopher, you're asking your boyfriend to bring you methamphetamine.
I did.
Okay. So now let's go to the events from
Yes.
420.
Okay.
When you dropped Corey off at the gym, Christopher had given you permission to take him to the party.
Yes.
Because it was an unscheduled
Visitation.
visitation.
Correct.
So it's not, it was my scheduled visitation. You requested of him on a day that's not yours,
Mm-hmm.
if you could take your son to a party in Pennsylvania. Am I right?
Yes,
And he agreed to that.
he did.
You said, sure, take him to the party.
Yeah.
And then, did you agree on a time you were supposed to bring him home?
Yes.
Okay? And did you take him home that time?
No.
You took him home late.
I was late.
You were late.
Yes.
And he was upset.
Yes.
So then you guys had an argument, right?
Yeah, over text, yeah.
Okay, over text. And we saw some of those texts. And we'll get into some of those texts in a little while.
Yeah.
So now there comes a time where after April 20th, that you have visitation again.
April 20th or March 20th?
March 20th.
Yeah. Yes,
You have visitation again,
I did.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And your visitation was usually when, on a Thursday?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't there, so was it?
I think it was Wednesdays, honestly.
Wednesday? Okay.
Yeah.
So how often would you get him during the week?
It depended on his mood,
On whose mood?
the defendant's.
So the court didn't tell you what days you had? If
Well, yes,
Christopher
so
made the
there was a
determination?
court order, yes.
Okay,
That said,
so-
so it was Wednesday and then every other weekend.
So then it wasn't up to his mood, it was up to a court order, am I right?
You're right.
All right, I'm right.
Yes.
So when you just said it was up to the defendant,
For any extra days, it would be up to him.
well, did the court say that?
No.
Oh, so he would give you extra days if you asked him,
Yes.
and he gave
If
it to
he
you.
was in the mood to give me them, yes.
And he gave it to you.
Sometimes.
Okay, but the court order said Wednesday,
Yes.
and he gave it to you every Wednesday,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And sometimes when you ask, like on Halloween, right? Didn't he ask you once on Halloween? You asked if you could have Corey for Halloween, so he could go trick-or-treating,
Oh, yes. I remember that.
and he said yes.
Yes.
Okay? But every Wednesday was court order, right?
I believe that's the day. I think so. Not 100%
But you
sure.
had him, how many days a week were you allowed to visit with him?
On Wednesdays and then every other weekend.
Okay. So every Wednesday you would see him, and then every other weekend you would
Yes.
see him. So the weekend that you took him on the 20th to the party that wasn't your weekend.
No.
The following weekend was not.
Yes.
And you took him that weekend.
I did.
Okay. So between April 20th and I guess it would be the 27th,
Right, you can say April.
March, I'm
March.
sorry, thank you, Judge. March 27th would be, the 25th would probably be the beginning of that weekend, right?
I think it was the 28th. 27th was that Saturday, yes.
And wasn't that Saturday the day he had to do the flag football?
Yes.
Now, didn't he stay at Christopher's house that night?
Friday night, yes.
Friday night.
Yes.
It was your weekend though, right?
Yes.
Where did you stay that night?
At my house.
You stayed at your house?
Yes.
Do you recall that Christopher asked you if he could have Corey?
Objection, hearsay.
Why did you leave Corey there Friday night?
Chris wouldn't let me pick him up.
Okay. Did he get to the practice on time? Oh,
Yes.
by the way, did you agree to that? It was your weekend.
No, he wouldn't let Corey go with me.
To home?
To my house. He wouldn't let me pick him up.
Did you do anything about that?
We met at the police station. He wouldn't let Corey out of the car.
And the police department said that was okay?
Yes,
Yes?
they did.
It's hearsay with the police department. so-
Well,
Okay. But the police are like, you would meet at the police station to exchange Corey?
only when he was in a bad mood.
When Corey was in a bad mood?
Christopher.
All right. So you would meet on Wednesdays at the police station if Christopher was in a bad mood?
And yes.
Okay. But if he wasn't in a bad mood, you would meet at his house?
Yes.
And if he was a really good mood, you would actually sleep over his house?
Yes.
And how often did you do that?
It depended. Sometimes a few times a week, sometimes once. Sometimes just the weekends, sometimes the weekdays.
And how long did that go on?
About 4 months, maybe. 3 months.
And was that in 2021?
Yes.
So if March 20th was the treadmill,
March 20th.
so we're saying from like January to the beginning of March, you were sleeping over his house during this time?
Maybe early December.
Did you guys discuss actually getting a house together?
We did.
Did you actually look at houses together?
We did not.
So up until this point in March of 2021, you still only had visitation rights,
Yes.
no custody.
I had half legal custody and every other weekend, yeah.
Okay, so half legal custody meaning you had them on Wednesdays and every other week,
Yes.
but you didn't have full parental custody.
No,
And why was that?
because I was working towards getting more custody.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
What do you mean?
How did you do that? What was the work you did? Tell me the work you did.
I got clean and I was trying to go back to court and ask the judge for more time with Corey.
And that's just around the time that you had made an emergent order.
Yes.
You requested an emergent order
Correct.
to get custody of Corey and have it taken away from Kristen.
Temporarily.
Temporarily.
Yes.
Right? Because you saw bruises on Corey.
Yes.
And you immediately made an emergent application. By the way, weren't you at the football practice?
I was. Yes.
So now you see the bruises on Corey, you make an emergent application, and that's denied.
It is.
And as a result of it being denied, you then get an order from the court that tells you and Christopher that together you should make an appointment with the pediatrician through DCP&P.
Correct.
You didn't do that, though.
Yes, I did.
No.
I took him to the pediatrician.
You did.
Yes.
You didn't do it together with him, as the court order had stated.
No.
Okay?
He
You
did what he
decided
wrote.
on your own. Did you decide on your own
Yes.
you were going to take him?
Yes.
You violated the court order.
I mean, I don't think it said he had to be present during that. It just said that he needed to go to a pediatrician. So.
I can argue about that all day. So now, you take him to the pediatrician.
I did.
Take him to Ivy pediatrician,
Yes.
and at Ivy, they tell you that, these are some bumps and bruises, suspicious of
Yeah.
child abuse.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yes.
And at this point, you don't know anything about the treadmill that we just saw.
No.
And they recommend to you that you take him to Jersey Shore Medical Center at that point.
Yes. Well, community medical center first.
I think they said Jersey Shore Medical
Objection, Judge, it's hearsay.
Center.
They said, like,
Right, so it's hearsay, but in terms of how she reacts to that, I'm going to allow it, not for the truth of the matter, but for where you took the child.
okay, thank you, Judge.
So you took the child to,
Community medical
and when
center.
you got to Community Medical Center, they also did an evaluation,
They did.
and they said, and you then, as a result of that, took him to Jersey Shore Medical Center.
Because there is a child abuse pediatrician there.
Okay. So there was no child abuse pediatrician at the other two hospitals?
Not that worked with DCP&P.
So when you got to Jersey Shore Medical Center, that's when they told you, you should leave him here overnight.
No.
No, they never told you that? You never signed a piece of paper saying that you were leaving against their medical advice?
At community medical center, I did. Because they wanted to transport him in an ambulance, and I said I was going to drive him. They didn't tell me why, but yes, I signed that.
Okay, so you signed it out.
Yes.
Okay. So now you take him to one hospital, one doctor,
Yes.
take him to one community hospital center, and then you take him to a hospital, and you're doing this all because you think he's being abused, right? And then...
And it was under the advice of a DCP&P worker.
Okay. And then you take him, you try to bring him back to his house that night, right?
Yes.
And you're unable to do that,
Correct.
right? Instead, you take him home,
Yes.
you go to sleep with him,
Yes.
you wake up the next morning, and you bring him back to the person that you say is abusing him.
Correct.
Did you contact DCP&P at that point?
No. Not that morning.
No. That morning, you actually decided to sit down with Dustin Vondran and try to get methamphetamine.
Objection, Judge. It's not accurate.
I think the time frame is wrong, Mr. Galucci.
It is.
It's later in the afternoon that you decided that you were going to get,
Yes,
what is it called?
methamphetamine.
Methamphetamines. So you believe your child is being abused. You take them to 3 different hospitals. You make an application to DCP&P. You don't have custody of your child at this point because you're not allowed to have custody of your child.
Objection,
And you decide.
Judge. That's
So it's getting argumentative.
I mean-
You have to ask
And
questions.
you
Elicit
decide.
answers.
And you decide. I'm going to try to get methamphetamines.
Yes.
And you actually negotiate with him.
Who?
Justin. Whoever.
Dustin?
Dustin.
I did, yes.
Negotiate.
I never said I was I was weak-minded when it came to that, yes. And I was going through a stressful time, not the best, yeah.
Ms. Schron, Ms. Lento, I'm sorry, on her direct examination, gave you a series of text messages between you and Chris that occurred on April 1st of 2021.
Yes.
They are S. Is this 5?
I know there's a lot of them. I don't know which one to refer to. Which one do you want? Which one do you want? Which one do you want? S9. There's 6.
These marked as people's S1. It's picture court.
Yes, it is.
Right? This was taken in a park in Barnegat, am I right?
I don't believe it was Barnegat.
You
It
don't
was
believe
nearby, though, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Besides Corey, who else was there with you?
That was just Corey and I.
Just the 2 of you.
Yes.
Christopher wasn't there that day.
No, he was not.
It was snowing out that day.
It was. It was December.
I don't know which one you want. When we're here, all of them. We can look through and figure out which one you want.
Take a record in just a second.
Sure.
So it's S5, S7, and probably S8. You remember that Ms. Lento had showed you these exhibits?
I had to look at them. They're just text messages.
Remember
Okay.
you saw those? Now,
Yes.
do you recall if that was the entirety of the text exchange between you and Christopher?
I don't remember. I don't know.
So, what am I up to?
You said before, but that was actually you should be trained in D5.
Let me show you D5.
No, it's that
You recognize it?
Yes.
That's not just a snippet, am I right? That's the whole entire text exchange.
Judge, we interrupt, can the state see the exhibit? I've never seen the exhibit before, and you didn't show it when we walked up, can we see
Judge,
it?
I'm sorry, I assumed that since they had snippets from that exhibit, that they had seen it.
Why?
Well, but there's a lot of exhibits, I'm sure, so as a courtesy, you could show that.
Thank you.
So she knows what you're showing the witness.
Just so we can follow along.
Just so we're aware, nobody moved S5
I want to see where you're
or 7 into evidence. 8 and 11 were moved into evidence.
Yes, Judge. We're going to move them, but we just want to see if we could have a minute.
4-1,
Go
10:39
ahead.
a.m. 2-4-1 at 8:52. Can I get that? 4-1 at 10:30.
Here you go. It's okay, you're, no.
Can I push?
Yes.
So once again, D4 is the whole entire conversation between you and Christopher on that day, am I right?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, on that day, you just testified that if Christopher was in a good mood, you would drop him off at the house. If he was in a bad mood, you had to drop him off at the police station.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
On April 1st, he must have been in a good mood because you dropped him off at the house. You saw the
I
video
don't-
of that.
That was on April 2nd?
Yeah.
Yes. He must have been.
All right. So he was in a good mood because you dropped him off at the house.
I guess so.
Okay. Oh, by the way, how many videos do you accidentally have in your, well, not in police possession, but in your possession where it just randomly takes a video of a conversation you have with Corey?
That was the first time.
That's the first time.
Yes.
So the first time you ever record Corey is after you've taken him to 3 different hospitals, right? Or medical centers,
Yes.
right? You made a emergency order request, right?
Yes.
You drove him back to the guy that you're blaming is having all these issues,
Yes.
right? So let's go to this text
The
exchange.
text.
Call exchange. So this is an exchange between you and Christopher, am I right?
Yes.
That starts on April 1st of 2021 at about 10:39.
Yes.
Okay? This is the owner. That would be you.
Yes.
First question, am I picking Corey up from your place at 4:30? Right?
Yes.
Then you responded with question marks, because I guess you got no response.
Correct.
Okay? Then he says, police station, I don't feel safe, you coming near my home. Right?
Yes.
You say, sure, sounds good. You, where are you? I'll be past 7:30, and I will take over and be with my son.
That was Christopher.
Right?
Yes.
Then Christopher again. I have no idea where you are. You will not tell me on the phone. Why is that? You're past your time by the court order, and I want to be there for my son.
Correct. Yeah.
That's actually in evidence. I'm driving to Jersey Shore Medical Center. I'm doing what a caseworker for DCP told me to do. Right?
Correct.
And Chris, where are you? Right?
Correct.
Caseworker said you have up to 7 days to do this, and you choose to do it now and exceed your time, which will be subtracted from your next visit. That's Christopher to you, right?
Correct.
Christopher again to you. Feel free to bring him to the police station of Barnegat whenever you're done, and however long you go over 7:30 is the amount of time that will be subtracted from your next visit.
Correct.
Bad mood, right?
I'm sorry.
That's bad mood?
Yeah.
Then the doctor sent me to the hospital. Then Mark, I'm assuming Mark is caseworker, called me and said not only to stay there, sent me to DCP doctor at the hospital. Right? That's what you said?
Correct.
Then you said, when's my next visit that you will allow? You to Chris, right?
Yes.
Chris, just let me know when you guys will be arriving down here and I will come pick my son up, right?
Correct.
And you, I absolutely will.
Correct.
Chris, I will follow the court order. Unlike you, I also won't file an immersion application, is what he said,
Yeah.
for the reason just to spite you. But if Corey doesn't want to go because your mother will be there, that is his choice. You responded, yeah, right?
Correct.
Sorry, he said that it is arguing between your mother and Richie as well as your sister, who was also present during the visit. You responded, sure he did. So was there arguing going on in your house?
No. No.
Then, Chris, to you, just throwing it out there, that we both know that it is against the order, especially when your sister...
Objection, Judge.
Based on what?
It's based upon relevance. We're really going outside of the scope of what was proffered. And,
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
no, that's it, Judge. We're going outside the scope of what's proffered, and we did not have the opportunity to go through these messages to see what appropriate redactions would have been made or not made. At this point now, we're just using this really as a way to just get all this hearsay into the courtroom.
Judge, they gave me... This is from them.
I understand that, yeah.
So, the statements between the parties made out of court are hearsay, but this defendant's here testifying to them. In the interest of completeness, if there's text messages before and after the text messages the state has introduced, my understanding is this is on April 1st into April 2nd. In all fairness, I should allow the entirety of those text messages. If I find the need to make any redactions, then I'll advise you that before they're given to you, and you shouldn't, if there are any redactions made, you shouldn't speculate as to what the content of the material that was redacted nor the reason for the redactions. But right now, the cross-examination is appropriate in the interest of completeness of the conversation between the parties, generally for the reasons I gave you in my prior instruction, that the addition or subtraction of certain words or statements can change the context of a particular statement when viewed in isolation.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Mr. Calucci.
So back to this.
Yes.
So Chris, to you, it's 4/1, 7:33 p.m. Just throwing it out there that we both know it and it's against the order, especially when your sister just got out of jail for drugs. Your response, Chris's response, they present during his visits, or is he making that up? Your response, I'm not in the mood for this. Right?
Correct.
That happened, right?
Yes.
Oh, but I thought that was the reason why you also wanted to have your visit at my place, because of the toxic environment your family creates. That's first to you, right?
Yes.
I'm not under I'm not under investigation right now. You are. I'll drop him off when he's done. His response, and now you're spreading the toxicity to our son, trying to convince him that football is bad and those bruises are horrible because he has to be me abusing him, and he knows your allegations and knows why the police have come to the house. Chris, again.
We have to ask her to say that. That's the content of the message.
Right.
Is it being read correctly now?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Chris, again, keep spreading toxicity, keep letting him know that it's more important for you to spite me than love him. That is a very healthy mother and son relationship. We wouldn't be here if nobody agreed with me. Chris, I'm under investigation from your ludicrous claim that it had any shred of evidence when you applied for your emergent order, it would have been granted. Keep pulling at strings and separating us further. Thank you for providing, not making a fatal mistake of allowing you to live in the same house with us, because you're a horrible person and you will never have that opportunity ever again offered to you. Chris, to you, right?
Yes.
try to coach, Chris, to you again, try to coach them up and see what you need to him as much as you can, but also knows the value of honesty and the truth. Right?
Correct.
You. That's why they wanted me to take him to the pediatrician. I'm not fighting you. I'm not fighting with you. I'm doing what a caseworker and a supervisor told me to do. Right?
Correct.
Okay. They requested me, Chris, they requested me at noon, and I said that I would take him next week and not tomorrow at noon because I couldn't get off work. I was informed that we had up to 7 days to go, which they obviously informed you, and you still made the reckless decision to go over your visitation hours and not even inform me. Very immature. Stop texting me unless it is to give me an ETA to the police station for the drop-off. Right?
Correct.
You called me and asked me to speak to the doctor here, then the doctor told me to go to the other hospital, right?
Correct.
Chris, what was your excuse for not informing me and having me call you at 7:25, 5 minutes before your visit is supposed to end? Get it together seriously and stop being spiteful. Text me your ETA when you have it. The time past 7:30 will be taken off your next visit. You can fight it if you want. That's the way it's going to go. To be, I will not stand for you exceedingly late with zero communication. Right?
Correct.
When we do that, by the way, the court order that you went today and received afterwards says you had 7 days and it didn't have to be done today. You called DCP and talked to them about it. I'm at the hospital. More to come later.
I said you're more than welcome to come.
That's the complete text exchange,
It looks like it.
not the snippets.
No.
So, after Corey passed, did you, your mother, and 2 other people have occasion to go to Christopher's parents' home?
Have a what? I'm sorry.
Go to Christopher's parents' home,
We did.
okay? And when you went there, did you, your mother, and others throw several objects at that house?
My mother was not involved. It was me and 2 friends, and yes, we did.
And at that time you threw eggs,
Yes.
right? Dead goldfish.
I don't think they were goldfish. It was fish from the supermarket.
So let me understand this. You woke up on this day, you decided you were going to drive to his parents' house, but before you did that, you actually put the thought in to go to a supermarket and buy fish.
Yes.
And you drove to his house, and you threw the fish. Were they dead? Or did you get fresh fish?
It was fresh. It wasn't fresh. It was
Well, did
food.
you get it from a market that had one of those tanks?
No, it was no.
What
It was
kind
a
of
dead fish.
What kind of fish?
I don't remember.
Was it expensive fish?
Not really.
All right. So you got cheap fish.
Yeah.
So you got this fish, meat bones. What's a meat bone?
I don't remember that.
And goose eggs. Goose egg stones.
Oh, stones. Okay.
What is a goose egg stone?
I don't know.
Just
It sounds like a stone, but
okay, so you throw rocks. So you threw rocks, dead fish, bones, and eggs at Christopher's parents' house.
yes.
By the way, did you ever set up a GoFundMe page when Corey passed?
I didn't do it directly myself. No.
Was a GoFundMe page set up?
Yes.
By who? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I can't remember that.
Was it set up on a website or a Facebook group called Justice for Corey?
No,
Do you know what Justice for Corey
I
is?
do.
Okay, and who set that up?
That was me.
You set that up. And in the Justice for Corey site, was it posted that you had a GoFundMe?
It could have been.
Oh, you're the administrator,
I
aren't you?
am. It's been a few years.
Okay.
There's a lot of posts in that group.
Okay, well, you're the administrator.
Yes. There's other ones too. Yeah.
Okay. How many administrators are there?
There's 2 others.
2 others.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm assuming the administrator, I'm not a Facebook group guy, but I'm assuming that, and you tell me, maybe I'm wrong, but a Facebook group administrator gets notices when things are posted on the page.
Yes.
Okay. So you're the administrator?
I was.
So
Yes.
you got
I am.
notice? Are you telling me you didn't know that on the Facebook for Corey webpage, there's postings up there for a Justice for Corey Cash App and GoFundMe?
Possibly, but there are a lot of posts that went up. The group was very popular.
Did
A
you
lot
earn
of
any
people.
money from the GoFundMe page that was set up?
Did I what?
Earn any money from that GoFundMe page?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
How much money did you earn from the GoFundMe page that was set up that you say you know nothing about?
I knew it was set up. I'm not the one that set it up, and I don't recall who set it up.
But you profited.
I did. Yes.
All right. So how much was...
I don't recall.
So do you recall how much the GoFundMe was for?
No.
Are you also aware that in addition to the GoFundMe that you made money off of, they also started a Cash App campaign?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
Just like have a minute. May I approach?
Yes.
Ms. Micciolo, let me show you something. This is Defense Exhibit D6.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
I see it. Yep. I recognize it.
And that is a request for people to donate you money on Cash App so you could attend court hearings.
Correct.
So, and the reason they set up the Cash App, am I right, is because when you set up a GoFundMe page, they take too much of the profit.
She said that, yes.
Okay, so you agree with that.
I don't agree with it. That's what she wrote.
But you got money from that.
Objection, Judge.
I did. Yes, I said
But
that.
somebody else said it's hearsay. Question
Yeah,
is-
I didn't post this, so I don't.
Right.
But you got money from it.
I said yes.
Okay, you got money from Cash App and you got money from GoFundMe.
Yes. Can I tell you what that was used for? Or you don't want to know?
Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
How's that?
Cool.
All right, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Morning, Ms. Micciolo.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. So, last night after we left, did you have an opportunity to meet with either one of these prosecutors?
I did not.
You didn't talk to anybody about this case after you left here in court?
No.
So, yesterday we discussed a video that you had taken the morning you dropped Corey off at Christopher's house.
Yes.
You said that you had taken that video and that it was accidental, that you had no idea you had taken it. Am I right?
You're right.
Now, on direct examination, you said that as you were driving to Christopher's home, your son was on your phone watching YouTube videos.
Yeah, he would give me my phone back when Christopher texted me, and
Okay.
when we got to his house.
Okay, so you're saying that he gave you your phone back, you turned off YouTube, and then accidentally hit the camera?
I must have. Yes. Yeah.
And that's the first time you ever did that?
Yes.
Now, yesterday you also testified that you left Community Medical Center against medical advice because you thought it would be quicker for you to get Corey to Jersey Shore Medical Center, correct?
Yes.
Then look, this is D7. Show you D7. Take a look.
What do you want me to read? Just look at it? Okay. Yes.
Okay. Now, does that refresh your recollection as to why you left Jersey Shore Medical Center?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us what you did, what you told them at Jersey Shore Medical Center?
It says, given that she needs to bring her husband, or her child to her husband within the next few hours.
So you didn't leave because you wanted to get to Jersey Shore Medical Center. You left, according to that record, you told people at the hospital that you wanted to take your son to his father.
Yes, that's what I said yesterday. I didn't say it was because I was rushing because I was on limited time.
So, once again, that hospital,
Yes.
Community Medical Center, advised you to not take your child from the hospital.
It says they offered to transfer the patient, and then it also says he gave me the opportunity to leave at the hospital
Why don't you read the whole thing?
against medical advice.
Against medical advice. So they wanted you to leave Corey at the hospital and have him transported to another hospital. And you said no.
I drove him myself.
Have this marked as D8.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. AMA.
May I? Judge?
Yes. Of course.
You show you it's been marked as D8.
Yep.
Is that a release that, well, it says Corey's signature. Did you sign that for Corey?
Yes.
Okay. And does that refresh your recollection as to what you signed when you left that hospital?
Yes.
Okay. And is that a release
Yes.
saying that they advised you not to take Corey from that hospital and they needed to take him to another hospital?
Yes.
Now, yesterday, I believe we testified. Yeah, keep up. Thank you. That there was some point that you lived in Florida.
Yes.
And how long did you live in Florida?
A few years.
Do you remember what those years were?
2015, 16.
And you had Corey with you, right?
Yes.
And your mother and your father, am I right?
Correct.
And what was your father's name again?
Vito.
Now, while in Florida, did there come a point where you...
Objection, Judge. This is really outside the scope. We didn't go into this area whatsoever.
Can I see counsel, sir?
Yes, thank you. So while you were at Jersey Shore Medical Center, you had a conversation with the defendant.
Yes.
Now, did you offer to bring Corey home back to Barnegat after Jersey Shore Medical Center?
Yes.
And did the defendant ever respond to your request to do this?
No.
And while Corey was at Jersey Shore Medical Center, was he ever diagnosed with sepsis?
No.
And was Corey medically cleared from Jersey Shore Medical Center?
Yes.
And was there a scheduled appointment for April 2nd for Corey to see a CPC pediatric specialist?
Yes.
And did the defendant cancel this appointment?
Yes.
And could you take Corey to see the specialist without the defendant?
No, he wouldn't allow it.
And when you dropped off Corey on April 2nd, what choice did you have in bringing him back to his father's house?
Well, he already called the cops on me for kidnapping, so I didn't really have any other choice, just for keeping him a few hours late at the hospital.
Can I see the defense exhibit? The community cell. Can you show them? You want our permission to approach the witness?
Yes, certainly.
Now, Breanna, you took Corey to Community Medical Center, correct?
Yes.
And I'm now showing you what's been marked D7 for identification purposes. And can you read this paragraph in terms of the emergency department course and treatment, the entire paragraph?
Starting here, patient seen.
Yes, please.
Patient seen and examined in the emergency department. History and physical obtained. Prior medical records requested and reviewed. Initial assessment and exam completed. I had an extensive discussion with the mother at bedside and discussed with her the plan for the patient. I offered to transfer the patient to Jersey Shore Medical Center, where the CPAP specialist as well as his pediatrician were located for further management, evaluation, as well as blood work. I also gave the mother the opportunity to leave the hospital against medical advice and drive her child to the hospital herself. She states that she would rather leave against medical advice, given that she needs to bring her child to her husband within the next few hours.
Okay, and I'm now showing you what's been marked D8. Now, this was a release form that was given to you at Community Medical Center, right?
Yes.
And that's a standard release form that would be utilized regarding any patient who would sign a child out of a hospital.
Correct.
And your purpose, again, of signing Corey out of the hospital would be so he could get there faster.
Correct.
Now, in regard to Justice for Corey, is that a private Facebook group chat?
Yes.
And if you would like to become a member for Justice for Corey, then it would have to be an accepted friend request.
Yes.
Objection, leading.
Can you describe the website
Yeah,
or the
so
Facebook chat?
it's a Facebook group. If you want to join, you have to answer a few questions, and then an admin has to approve you to join the group. And if you want to post, then it gets approved as well.
And do you personally know all the members who are a part of this group chat?
No.
And what was the purpose of setting up Justice for Corey?
To get justice for Corey.
And in particular, there are members who were on this site who had set up donation or fundraising.
Correct.
And can you tell the jurors about that?
The first, so most of it was spent for his funeral, and then the other was spent for a plot for myself in the cemetery with him, so when I pass, I can be buried next to him.
And there was a GoFundMe page set up?
That's what that was.
And what were the expenses for the GoFundMe page for?
That was for the funeral and the plot.
And what about this Cash App? Can you explain to the jurors what that was for?
Yes, so members were asking one of the admins if they could help us with just everyday things, so the admin decided to set it up just so people were just saying go get some coffee, go get dinner. They just wanted to help.
And did you set up this Cash App?
No.
And who set up the Cash App?
One of the members.
And that would be for donations?
Yes.
We don't have any further questions, Judge.
Any report?
Did you use any of those donations to buy the fish that you threw at the Gregor
I did
house?
not. No.
Now, you said that you paid for the funeral.
Yes.
Okay, didn't the Gregor family pay for the funeral?
No.
They did?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
No.
So,
I'm sorry.
this Justice for Corey, what's a chat group?
It's a group.
Are you one of the administrators?
I'm one of them, yes.
Who set it up?
I did.
You did.
Yes.
And when you set it up, you set yourself up, I don't understand it, but you set yourself up as the administrator, right?
Yes.
And And the administrator is the person that's in charge of the group,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So when you set up a Facebook chat group, you as the administrator set up the rules, right?
Yes.
Okay? And the rules are, like you just told Ms. Lento, are I can let people in if I choose to or not let people in as I choose to, right?
Right.
And initially, that group was open to the public, right?
For like a month, yeah.
Okay, and then-
Very beginning.
Okay, and then it was not, became private.
Yes.
And who did that?
The admins made a decision.
Okay.
We had a conversation and decided.
So you were the initial administrator, right?
Correct.
Okay. And now you said that there are additional admins.
Correct.
How many?
There is 2 others.
Okay, and do you know who those people are?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just said you had a meeting with your admins,
Yes.
okay? And at that meeting, you and your other 2 administrators, I'm assuming that's what you're called, right?
Yes.
Made a decision to make this group private.
Yes.
Okay. So when you say you don't know who's in the group, are you saying that you set rules up on who could get in the group? You have to answer questions?
Yes.
Okay. And if you answer the questions in a way you or the other 2 administrators don't like, then you don't let them in your group.
Correct.
Okay? But if they answer the questions right, then you let them in the group.
Right.
No further questions.
Thank you.
Nothing further, Judge, thank you.